Let's take a look around the league at news this morning. Brian Windhorst, beginning with Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, let's look at the Utah Jazz front office actions. Forget about their words. Their actions are they have traded two starters this offseason for draft pick-based trades. Royce O'Neal and, of course, the big one for Rudy Gobert. So you look at what they talk about for Donovan Mitchell, expect draft pick-based discussions, which brings the New York Knicks to the front of it because they have 8 first-round picks more than the Heat or the Suns in some sort of package for Durant. Last night, while we were all talking about Donovan Mitchell, there was some significant news from Adam Silver. Talking after the owners' meetings, he made a pivot on the policy where he said he believes that the age limit should be lowered back to 18 and a reversal of things he thought in the past. You can go straight from preps to pros. And he would like to see it happen in the upcoming collective bargaining agreement. Those talks are ongoing now and could be implemented in a couple of years. If Adam Silver says it, I think it's likely to happen. This is not the union pushing for it. This is Silver. And, of course, we've got Kevin Durant. The executives are beginning to leave Las Vegas, and from what I am feeling, there is no traction on a Durant trade. The Donovan Mitchell coming onto the market, I think, is interesting. But they don't like what they've got for him, and they are now posturing like they're going to run it back and bring Durant and Kyrie Irving back. That, to me, feels like a negotiating position. But if they don't like their trade, Greeny, they don't like their trade. And maybe running it back is the most prudent decision, even if it could be a little bit dramatic.
Look, I said it to you on Monday, and like most geniuses, I will not be fully appreciated until long after my time. In this case, it only took 48 hours for them to sort of come around. We had Jay Will in here a little bit earlier this morning, and he said this when it came to the possibility of keeping these guys together in Brooklyn.
It would be a last dance scenario. It would be, hey, look, Kyrie Irving, you have 1 year left on your deal. I'm not sure whether you and Kevin Durant are on good terms or not, but we couldn't get the right value for Kevin Durant. We couldn't get that second, first-round draft pick from the Lakers in the package we wanted. Let's play together. Let's play for it for 1 year, and then after you guys are done, go your separate ways.
I covered the Last Dance Bulls, and there are a lot of, there's the two stars and the possibilities of their departure. There's the enigmatic third player who doesn't shoot much, like Dennis Rodman then, and now you got Ben Simmons. You got a lot of similarities when you look at these two circumstances here. So you keep saying posturing, Windy. Friedel, that it feels to me like this is the time of year where you don't believe anything anybody says. So I get the sense that maybe the Nets are just posturing this, but the bringing back of this group together, Friedel, you've covered them every single day since these guys got there. Is it a real possibility?
Greeny, I cannot stress to you enough how miserable the end of that last year was. Everybody in that organization, top to bottom, was just so unhappy, and the tone was set from Kyrie not getting the vax shot. But the reality is, I think everybody looked around and went, I don't know if this is actually going to work. And then we started to feel it more in the last few weeks with, will Kyrie pick up that option? Is he trying to look for a sign and trade somewhere else? We haven't heard as much from Kevin about where he stands with the organization, where he stands right now with Kyrie. So there are so many different question marks. On top of the fact, you mentioned Ben Simmons. Nobody knows what the heck kind of player he's going to be after missing more than a year. So to think that all of these different variables can come back into one group, and Brooklyn, that had all these different flaws on the roster, can say, hey, we're all good again. We're one big happy family. I just think that is a huge, huge stretch for a team that is on record from Sean Marks saying we need to build our culture back up. The culture is broken. Why bring it back?
Okay, so all of that is fair. So on a morning where we are talking about a lot of superstars in the NBA, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell has now entered the conversation, and others, I want to bring the biggest star of them all into the discussion, and that's LeBron James. You're a Laker fan, Chris Canty. Yep. As we speak, with all of these other machinations, all these other chess pieces being moved around, is LeBron seeing his last best chance of winning one more championship slip away? Because if the Nets do decide that their best course of action, even if reluctantly, is to bring Kyrie Irving back, is that basically the end of the Lakers' best chance going forward?
Oh, yeah, G, it's over. I mean, if the Lakers can't reconfigure their big three, and by that I mean find a way to move off of Russell Westbrook and add a better player, someone like Kyrie Irving, then there's no chance that LeBron is going to be able to get it done and compete for a championship in the West. As much as I like Anthony Davis and agree with him being one of the best bigs when he's healthy, he's not available enough. You're talking about a guy that's missed half the games the Lakers have played over the last 2 years. And Greeny, he's knocking on age 30. Show me when the last time we've seen a big man get healthier as they get older when they've had an injury history like Anthony Davis. It doesn't happen. So, yeah, I think this is LeBron James' last best chance of competing for a championship slipping away. As much as I like what Darvin Ham is saying, their new head coach, I just don't think the Lakers will have the firepower to get it done.
It's an interesting point here, Wendy. So where do the Lakers, you ran through a 4-team scenario and all these other stars, what role do the Lakers play in how all of this plays out?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of change agents that could happen. Two jump out to mind that could change the current scenario. One is if Kevin Durant comes forward and says something. Whether he says, look, I asked for a trade from the Nets, and I still want to trade from the Nets. I don't care what you think about running it back. That would, tip the apple cart for sure. The second is if LeBron makes a Kyrie Irving acquisition an issue in his potential contract extension talks, which can begin next month. Now, I'm not sure that he's going to do that. I think LeBron didn't like the blowback that he got for being part of the blame for the Lakers doing the Russell Westbrook trade. I think he wants the Lakers to improve. I think he'd love to have them get Kyrie Irving, but I'm not so sure that he wants to walk in, pound his fist on the table and say, I'm not signing this unless you get Kyrie Irving. But because that is still out there, and because that is an unsettled issue, which is a significant issue for the Lakers, what LeBron's future there is going to be, I have to leave it out there on the table as something to watch for.
That's very interesting to me. Friedel, what do you think?
Greeny, who cares if LeBron signs this thing or not? I'm sitting here watching this Kevin Durant thing unfold. If we've learned anything in the last few years in the league, if a star wants to get dealt, he's gone. And he will usually find a way. So I know that is a huge, huge issue for the Lakers organization. But recent history tells us LeBron can sign any piece of paper there is, and then in a year say, I don't want to play with Russell Westbrook anymore. Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. This team is a mess. They're not very good. I want out of here.
That's fair. But I will say this, just sort of taking everything at its face value in the moment in which we exist. I described the other day, and I do not mean this to sound as disrespectful to Russell Westbrook as it probably comes off. Westbrook is a Hall of Fame player, and he still has a lot left to do in the NBA. But he is such a bad fit. He is such a square peg in a round hole, or whatever it is with that group, that I said if they're able to turn Russell Westbrook into Kyrie Irving, it's a miracle. It's a basketball miracle that could save and provide their only chance. So to me, Chris Canty, they have to do whatever they can to make that happen. Whatever it is they can do to make that happen, that's what they need to do.
No doubt about it. And Rob Pelinka has to put that 2027 first-round draft pick that the Lakers have on the table if it means being able to flip Russell Westbrook for Kyrie Irving. We've seen that he's been hesitant to do that at the trade deadline. LeBron James expressed some frustration because they didn't do so. But I think this is something that you have to take a look at. But again, Brooklyn is holding all the cards. Both of those guys, Kai and KD, have expressed they don't want to be there. But I don't know how much leverage either one of them has in terms of forcing their way out of town, which makes this a fascinating situation.
Quick final word, Wendy, go.
New York Post today, we have a Kyrie Irving source saying he's ready to go back in Brooklyn. I find that report probably credible, and that's Kyrie's trying to take a posture on the position as well. Again, now we wait for Durant.
Friedel, renew the condo. You're coming back to Brooklyn I'm telling you right now, you're coming back to Brooklyn for another season. That's what's going to happen. Be ready.